try to sneak some stuff in there. I pushed the envelope a lot on items that I worked on. But one of my favorite parts about this set was that my likeness is on Iceman. Bobby Drake, Bobby. I have had the amazing honor of working on one of the most high-profile collector lines. So join me while I take you through my entire run on Marvel Legends. What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another video here. And this is going to be a fun one, because I know there's a lot of Marvel Legends fans out there watching this video right now. So I wanted to take this time to go through my entire run on Marvel Legends. Now, I'm not talking 12-inch or when they changed the name to 3 3/4. I'm talking about the core 6-inch Marvel Legends that you all know and love. I didn't have a super long run, but when I look back, it's like I worked on a lot of great Legends items. So, got to start at the beginning. So here we go. This right here was my first ever Marvel Legends item that I worked on. This is the all-new X-Men box set. This was a TRU exclusive back when TRU was still around. And it came with the core 5 X-Men. This is when the all-new X-Men comic came out. Now, when I started at Hasbro, I was on a team called Exclusives. Before each team handled their own exclusives, one team handled a bunch of different brands exclusives. So myself and my boss, we handled Marvel, Star Wars, Nerf, Beyblade, G.I. Joe, pretty much all the boys' brands. And it was great because I could work on a ton of items. You know, I got to work on some Transformers, did some of the Transformers masterpieces. Like I said, Beyblade was fun, you know, doing stuff like that. We did a line of Nerf stuff that was really cool. But there was this item. Now, this started out as an Amazon exclusive. Amazon came and they said, "Oh, we're looking for a Legends item." And I got thrown this. My boss really didn't dig on Marvel stuff, so it was cool because I got to do all the Marvel stuff. So they wanted a box set, and after reviewing, with the core Marvel team, we kind of came up with this idea. Now, doing this one was, almost like bittersweet. It was like cool I got to do this set, but it was like, when you're doing exclusive items, you didn't really get a lot of tooling because it's only going to one, partner, and this was Amazon. So you don't really have a lot of tooling dollars to work with. But to do this, I did get to tool some new parts. Now, looking back on it, it's like, I'm trying to think. The new parts were, I got to do all new heads, beast feet, forearms/hands. It was no articulation in the hands. Angel's wings, no articulation in the wings. So it was like stuff like that where we kind of had to like cut corners. And at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, I got to do the set. It wasn't exactly the way we wanted to do it, but it, for what we got out of it was pretty cool. So, Cyclops was all existing, and they were in these cool kind of retro costumes. Jean got like a new belt and a head. Angel got the wings and the head. Beast, again, like I said, he's got no wrist articulation, so it's like his forearms and hands are one molded part, which, looking today, it's like, man, that's like sacrilegious because it's like, Legends was known to be highly articulated. And then Iceman. And one of my favorite parts about this set was that my likeness is on Iceman. Bobby Drake, Bobby, I thought it was fitting. Now, kind of got a little bit of trouble for it because, I was the last person to ever get their head sculpted on a figure, because after that they made a mandate. No one's allowed to use their likeness. Something about like rights and stuff like that. Like, it's like, no, I want it to be on a figure. I'm not going to sue Hasbro for using my likeness. It's like, it's one item. Who cares? But yeah, this item was a really cool one to do. It also, this is where my rift between me and the packaging department kind of started, because I looked at it as like, I wanted to have a hand in everything about the item. So I talked to to my boss. I'm like, hey, can I talk with the packaging team? Can I ask them if I could do the artwork? I don't need to get paid. I just want to do I could draw. I come from a comic background. Like, I want to do the artwork. And he's like, yeah. So I showed my portfolio to the guy that was running the department at the time. And he was like, "Oh, your stuff's really great. Okay, let me mull it over and we'll talk." And then this guy goes and like throws me under the bus, goes to my boss, who I asked permission for. He goes like, "Who is he to come to us, like trying to steal work from him?" I'm like, "Bro, I'm just trying to help. Like, I offered to do this for free. Like, I could draw. Like, you said my work was good." I never liked that guy. That guy, he threw me under the bus a bunch of times because he was super late on all his items after I would give him items that were on time. Guy was terrible at his job. So yeah, so it would have been cool to do the artwork, and at the end of the day, they ended up just using the same artwork from the cover of the comic. It's like, way to take the easy road out. But yeah, I mean, this was the item. This is where it all started for me. You know, old Marvel Legends logo here. So yeah, so this was it. This is where it all started, and you know, pretty happy with it. Next up, we have the Legends Vehicle Assortment. I took this one over after it had already started, and this one was a new initiative. It was like, you know, how do we do a more deluxe item, figures and vehicles kind of thing. They were trying to expand Marvel Legends. And when it started, the line was Ghost Rider and Black Widow. So again, I started these after, I think I picked them up like almost halfway through, so I didn't really get to change much. I mean, I had a hand in, you know, the deco on the Ghost Rider item. You know, he was cool. It's like, you know, big chopper type bike. I wished we were able to do the Danny Ketch version, because that was my favorite Ghost Rider, which it turns out they ended up doing now. But when it first started, we did the Johnny Blaze version, which is fine. This is still a cool item. I was happy to work on it. Black Widow here. You know, she was fine. You know, she had this kind of this ninja looking bike here. She came with alternate heads. You know, she was basic. She was what she was. But you know, I think these were kind of the weakest of all the ones that I worked on. So I'm kind of glad that like these weren't mine to start, because I was able to get the freedom to do much cooler ones. So next up, we had, I'm trying to think what came next. I think Wolverine and World War II Captain America came next. Now, I didn't get a ton of tooling to work with, so it's like, okay, well, we had to keep doing figures and bikes, because it's like, this is what, you know, when you're designer, you're handcuffed by the parameters what you're working on. So it's like, how do we keep using that motorcycle that we tooled up? Okay, well, doing Wolverine with the patch head and stuff like that, it was easy, but it was kind of like, all right, well, I knew I wanted to do World War II Cap. He's like one of my favorites, and I said, I want to do this, and I want to do him awesome. So it was like, all right, well, I knew that if I did saddlebags for, you know, Cap, I could also use them for Wolverine, and we had the existing parts for Wolverine. So this one was an easy one to do. You know, it's Wolverine, you know, basic. But Cap was like, this was it for me, man. I'm telling you, like, I loved World War II Cap. And, you know, I'll get into another item that I kind of loosely helped out with also, that also kind of used this body, but another Cap item was being done at the same time. But we got to kind of do all new tooling for this figure because it got used for another figure, which I'll get into. But man, these OD green like Indian motorcycles, I know I think this was based off a Harley, but I was able to do new handlebars to make them match the old Indian motorcycles. Put the ammo box on the side. The saddlebags were meant for this one. And then I said, like, he's got the Thompson on it. Now, when we were going through this, Marvel's mandate was you couldn't use these things right here. I don't want to use the G word, but you couldn't put these in with figures. So it was like, really? Like, this was from the line. This Thompson came with another figure. But I was like, well, it comes with it. So we looked at it like, all right, well, we won't put it in with the figure. We'll at least give the sheath to mount to it. So it looks like, all right, well, if you have the other figure that it came with, you could put it in. I was bummed about that. I'm like, all right, whatever, fine. But the good thing is after I had left Marvel, Hasbro, and I saw that this figure came out, they ended up being able to sneak that one in there. So I guess they changed the mandate, excuse me, and they were able to give them this, which is cool that it ended up changing that way. Now, thinking back on it, I'm actually like, oh, this wasn't the third assortment I worked. This was the third assortment I worked on, not the second. Or did I work on all these in the same year? I think they all came out in these 4 came out in the same year. The Wolverine, the Cap, Professor X, Deadpool. But Cap was one that I was glad that got changed. But this is probably my favorite out of the whole Vehicles run. Let's talk about Professor X next. So, Professor X took some convincing. You guys have heard me talk about Deadpool Dollar Guy. You know, it was like Professor X, we knew how popular X-Men was, especially in Legends. And it was like to do Professor X on the hover chair was like almost like pulling teeth to get them to approve it. And it was like, yeah, it's new tooling. The hover chair's new tooling. But luckily, me and my marketer, we fought and we got this item approved. And he came out great. I think looking back, I probably would have made the stand just clear and smooth instead of this like whooshing kind of effect. But I got the panels open up just like on the old Toy Biz figure, which was really fun. You know, people thought this psychic wave was a little much. But I think he worked. He worked great as a figure. He's got like the removable blanket. Like he's a great figure. Like everything about him was really cool. And then I forgot whose idea it was. It wasn't mine because I didn't know that deep a lore. But I think it's Shadow King. This Shadow King head that he came with, we're able to put on this body in the same year. So it was a nice little Easter egg to squeeze in there to be able to make a second villain with a head that comes with Professor X. And then last up, it's probably the funniest one of them all. This one came about because they were starting to film Deadpool 2, and me coming off my high win of my Deadpool dollar after the success of the first movie, it was cool to be able to do a Deadpool item, and there was like leaked images of the set with Ryan Reynolds on a Vespa. So we were like, how cool would it be to do Deadpool with a scooter? And I wanted to put all the bells and whistles on here. I said I wanted to really like do as much funny stuff as possible on here. So it's like we did Deadpool, we did the scooter, and I was like, can we do Dogpool? But it's like we won't make him really articulated. We'll make him sit on the back with his paws on Deadpool's shoulders, and then Squirrel Pool can fit on the back of Dogpool. And that all worked out. And then I said I wanted the packaging to make it look like I always tried to do really fun stuff with the packaging and like the layout, not just like generic poses. I was like, can we make Deadpool running after the scooter with Dogpool riding it? And sure enough, we got it done. So I was happy that they were able to do that. Came with a Hydra Bob head, which was nice because we had the Hydra figure, so it was like that little Easter egg. Now, the other cool thing that we weren't able to do for this item, I do believe it came with it. Let me try to see if they're in here. I thought it came with stickers. I believe it did. I believe stickers are in here. So we got to do a bunch of stickers, Deadpool-related stickers. Now, I tried to sneak in a few stickers that Marvel vetoed because they either tied to movies or tied to other things. But one of them was That Snail is Fast. For those of you that have seen the movie Turbo was about a snail that gets powers, and he could like go really fast, and he joins like NASCAR and wins like the NASCAR the Daytona 500 or something like that, or the Indy 500, something like that. But Ryan Reynolds voices the snail in Turbo, and my son loved that movie at the time. He watched like every day. And in the movie, they talk about like, oh, that snail is fast. And it's like the tagline. So I did That Snail is Fast. Obviously, like a throwback to Ryan Reynolds. That got nixed because it's not a Disney movie. And then there was an I Heart Hugh one in there, and they nixed that one too. And I'm like, all the fun stuff. So, it's like you try to sneak some stuff in there. I pushed the envelope a lot on items that I worked on. But, this one was... As far as like funny items, this was probably the funniest one I worked on. Next up, we have Marvel Studios 10th anniversary figures. This one was cool. This was a cool initiative. We're coming up to the 10-year anniversary of Marvel Studios. So this was 2017 because I believe Iron Man came out in 2007. So there was an initiative of like, let's do a whole assortment of stuff that highlights a lot of the movies. So we're like, all right, well, let's do some box sets and this and that. So, we brainstormed and came up with some stuff. Me and my boss, we split the items, and he gave me some decent ones, some cool ones. He kept some good ones for himself, but the ones I got I thought were great. So, so I'm gonna kind of go through the ones. Not all of them are winners. All right, so we got. Let's put these over here. So first one up, and so they're actually numbered. So this is number 1 because it came from the original Iron Man movie. So it was, I wanted to do Mark 1 and Tony. I wanted to tool an all new, Mark 1. Did not have the tooling dollars to do that. So we ended up putting in this Mark 1 that came from the Iron Man line, which wasn't Legends. So he's not really scaled right. Like, he's the same size as Tony, but it's like, in the suit, you got to be huge. And the suit of Tony Stark, so it's like, it wasn't great, but, you made chicken salad out of chicken stuff, the saying. But the interesting thing was, so we'd done this Iron Man. Now, the way Marvel's approvals worked was that any actor likeness, the actor or actress had to approve their own likeness. Whereas with Lucasfilm owned your likeness, so they didn't need to get Harrison Ford's approval to do Han Solo figure. They would just do it and approve it. We had gotten his likeness, Tony's likeness, approved previously, like a year or two before, and then we submitted this, sculpt submission, and it came back not approved. And it's like, dude, he approved it already. I remember like that being a funny thing. It's like, dude, you approved it. Now you're not approving your likeness? Like, what's the deal? This item wasn't great because of the Mark 1, but, it's okay. I mean, I think people bought it. It's fine for what it is. All right, out of the numbers, all right, we'll go with Iron Man next because he's number 3. So this was an all-new Mark 7 Iron Man. Now, this was my favorite of all the 10th anniversary figures because this was my favorite Iron Man costume in all of the MCU. It was when Iron Man still looked like a suit of armor, not like later movies where it just looked like he was wearing a leotard because it was all CGI. This is how he looked in the first Avengers movie, and I was like, cool, I get to do an all-new sculpted figure. All, 100% new. Let's go, baby. So, I was like, all right, well, what do we do? How do we make him cool? But I remember, the scene where he deploys these flaps from his armor. So I wanted to do those. So that was fun. He was just a cool figure to do. Here's all right, so this is the first sample. His red was too dark, so we had to end up changing it. So there's a little inside baseball and how that changes there. But he's cool, he came with some extra hands and his blast effects. But again, I think the coolness factor of it was that it was an all-new tooled figure. So you got this, iconic Iron Man suit as a brand new figure. So yeah, he was definitely my favorite. All right, next up, number 8, we had the Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket 2-pack. This was another one where I got to tool an all-new figure, which is kind of crazy that I get to spend money on Yellow Jacket, not on Mark 1. So we had the Ant-Man. I think I did a new head and a Paul Rudd head. And then the Yellow Jacket was all new, which, what a cool-looking character he was in the movie. So that was pretty awesome that we could do it. And then it was like, I had this idea, because his mask was like translucent, but then the eyes were glowing as well. So I was like, oh, let's make the translucent, make the lenses a separate part and glue them in so that they look translucent. And we got the exact look that I was going for when I pitched this one. So that's why that one, worked out really good. He's got the, the articulated arms too. So very, very cool figure. All right, and last up, this is number 10. This might have been the 10th item. I think we only did 10 items. This is the Iron Man Thanos Doctor Strange 3-pack. This one was very cool for a number of reasons. I'm doing Iron Man, Thanos, and Doctor Strange. But also, I got to fix a lot of things that were wrong with some of the first issues of a few figures. So for Iron Man, you know, it was like, how do you make Iron Man different? It was all about, like, you know, you don't want to just give people an item that they already had. So I said, well, in Marvel Legends, we never made something light up. I said, what if I do a torso where it lights up? So people didn't really dig this because it made his torso not articulate. And, you know, Legends fans tend to get mad when you take articulation out. But it was like a gimmicky thing, but it was more like, look, that's kind of cool. That his reactor lights up, and it's how you make him different. Thanos, when the first Thanos came out, he was like almost like an Ivan Ooze type bluish purple, not this pale skin tone that he had in the movie. So he also didn't have brown pants. He was missing detail in his armor. So I got to do a new head. I think I did an extra new head. You can't really tell in the package here, but we were able to do some extra deco on his armor here that had all these like runes, like detail, like sculpted in. So I got to add that, made his pants brown. And then I got to do a new gauntlet hand of like the kind of like the gripping. So that was nice. Doctor Strange, the original Doctor Strange, looked nothing like him. So I got to do a new cape, Eye of Agamotto, and a new head for him. And then I wanted him to have the time spell on his hand. I was like, man, how do we pull this off? I was like, you think we could sculpt the hand so it's translucent and then paint it flesh and then have it all attached? And they nailed it. Factory nailed it. Looks exactly how I planned it to be. Here's a sample of it so you can see. But yeah, there's the time spell in his hand. Came out exactly the way I'd planned for it to be. So it was fun to kind of correct this figure and give you the real Cumberbatch version from the movie. Here's the Thanos. I don't know if you could see. Yeah, so that's some of that little extra detail. Just gave you a more, definitive versions of these guys. And that was like, once you get a second chance at something, it's like, cool, I get to correct something. Awesome. So that was all my 10th anniversary, first 10-year figures. I got to do, 3-4 of them. Definitely an awesome, experience to do this, but it's not the end of my MCU figures. So let's see what else I got. Okay, so I goofed, and I forgot that there was one other 10th anniversary item that I did. It's actually the 0 item. See? It says 0, which is pretty cool. This was a cool one. Kevin Feige actually had this in his office. He did an Instagram post, and I saved the picture and circled it like, look, that's my item. So this was a San Diego Comic-Con item, and this one was really fun. Let me cut the tape here because this one's never been opened. Take that little belly band off. This is the Red Skull Hydra set with the Tesseract. This was the first time that we paired a figure with our roleplay stuff. Like, I had been doing the one-to-one roleplay prop replicas. So it was like, can we do a Red Skull and then do the Tesseract that came with it? So this is another one where I think I got to tool an all-new figure. Now that I'm remembering it, I actually don't have the figure, which I guess I have to get for my collection. But I did another 10th anniversary figure. I'll have to see what number he is. But I got to do another one because it's actually another Red Skull figure. There was 2 in this assortment. So this is the one where he's got the long trench coat. And then I got to do one that doubled up almost like a Hydra trooper. So he's in the Hydra gear, and we had him come with a regular Hydra trooper head and the Red Skull head. So he's almost like a troop builder. So yeah, I'll have to get that one. But yeah, sorry, I forgot about that one. it's cool when you're like reminiscing and then you start to like remember the stuff you worked on. But this one was fun because it was one of my favorite Comic-Con items. But again, this Tesseract lights up, and it took us forever to like nail the glowing effect and, you know, the details of it to make it look good. But we made it look like, you know, the suitcase that was in it with all the tech. It's got all, you know, the write-ups of him and the Hydra blueprints and stuff. This was a really, really fun item. The Red Skull came out great. So, yeah, so this was my 10th anniversary item. Very cool. I want to say this. Yeah, 7/19/11. We put that on the package. That's the date that I believe Captain America, the first Avenger, came out. So it was like a nice little nod and throwback to it. But, yeah. Number 0, I forgot, but now you see it. Now, rounding out my MCU figures, this one wasn't part of the 10th anniversary. I forget what it was for, maybe an exclusive set or something like that. But this is